that you're feeling right now. Whether it is something that you feel is positive and completely enlightening, or something that feels heavy, that you're grieving, or maybe that you're angry and resentful about. Whatever that is, allow them all in. And breathe. And breathe. Let yourself breathe deeper into the belly. With every inhale, inflate the gut. Let the wisdom belly, the center of your wise woman, grow and inflate. Bring your full presence there. Hold it when you're at the top of your breath. And when you are ready, you can release your breath with a great sigh and empty your lungs. Let your lungs empty your rib cage. Let it be emptied and emptied out. Freer and freer and freer. Once again, deep breath in. At the top of your breath, hold it. And when you are so ready to let all of it go, exhale through the mouth a great and empty the lungs. Empty the lungs like it's becoming, melting into liquid form, and it's going, spiraling down into the space below the navel. Let the rib cage empty out. Let there be no weight upon it anymore. Welcome to the ones who are just joining us. You can just drop into this beautiful meditation and let it be known that this isn't just a meditation. It is a preparation for you to receive what you need to receive today. For there is one truth. And what I'm going to say to you, what I'm going to transmit to you is only an aspect of that great truth. Allow your soul to be sovereign. Allow your soul to be discerning, to know what is your truth. Because there is nothing else more important than that. And we are all here to uncover that. Each one of you, every single one of you. And breathe. Let your lungs melt into the dantian, which is the space below the navel, right in the center of your womb. Good. Beautiful. Make sure you give room. Make sure you expand your rib cage. Let your heart expand within. Let your heart come alive. There is nowhere you need to be. You simply are. Now, my loves, I would love for you now to come into this space bearing a sacrifice. And that sacrifice today is your judgment. I would love for you to let me know, leave it in the comments if you like to put it up. What judgment are you ready to offer as a sacrifice into the fire today? What judgment you may have for yourself, for the world, for others. This is a safe space. You being able to look at your judgment clearly today is going to do 100 times the work of every little thing you've been doing. No amount of spiritual work or therapy can heal if you do not deign to look at your judgment. So I ask you now, offer it up. As we slowly walk through the dewy path together. I'm going to slow the music down. Letting you take your time to offer up whatever you wish to offer up today. Okay. Beautiful, Eve. Welcome. Eve is saying, I offer up the judgment of any single circumstance as bad or good. This is very on point. We're gonna dive into this together today. Yeah. Beautiful. Let's take a deep breath after you put that up. Anyone else wants to do that? Isn't it interesting that it's so difficult to offer your judgment up? I am on Instagram and I'm also on Insight Timer. And there are 12 of you here on Insight Timer. And there is one comment coming up that I'm seeing. Meg, thank you. Meg says, I offer the release of judgment of my learning and expansion journey. Yes, take a deep breath. You are seen. Anyone else? This is so important. So important. It was never my intention to just come in here and talk. I really wanted to allow you to experience what it feels like to walk the dewy path before we even arrive into the space where the actual tea ceremony happens. And this has been for ancient days and ways where before we arrive into the space where we have a ceremony with tea, we walk through what we call the dewy path, because the dewy path itself is laden with glistening stone, little pebbles. And these pebbles are deliberately cleaned. They are cleansed with clear water and deliberately left just so, not dry, but just a little glistening of, a little bit of that clarity shining through the stones. And when we walk, every step we take, we are shedding. We are shedding every identity, every rigid need to control, every illusion that we have to hold everything, otherwise we will be, there will be chaos. There will be a price to pay. And this is the time. This is the time that I am inviting you to let yourself see it, to let yourself set yourself free. And it's really liberating, but also difficult for a lot, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So anyone who is ready for that, you're welcome to do so. So Carolyn is saying, I see myself walking as you speak. Okay. Let's see, maybe when we walk, you will realize what you need to shed, right? Sometimes you don't realize it. You don't know what you're judging, because it's so insidious in so many ways. Like it's part of us when we start to become very physical centric. And when our physical senses take over, our liminal senses, it becomes really difficult. That's when your energy field becomes denser and denser and denser, to the point where you're relying on the evidence to decide what you think, what you feel, and how you act. And please breathe. So, let's see. So, welcome to week 1 of Cha Dao for the Multidimensional Woman. Please give me let me know if you have no idea what Cha Dao is. I'm going to start off by introducing a little bit of what Cha Dao means, and then we will go into why today's transmission is so important today, like right now, in the times that we're living in. And then I will be so happy to answer any questions. If anything's coming up for you, this is recorded live. You are so welcome to ask, to share, and bring forward whatever that's coming through. Very good, Meg and Regina. All right. So, Cha Dao means, Cha means tea, Dao means way. You may have heard of the Tao Te Ching. You may have heard of the Tao, Taoism. The Tao itself is literally translated as way, the way, a way. And when you put Tao with Cha together, it means the way of tea. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. I'm not going to be, and I have never been, about teaching you what's already written in the books. There are a lot of literature out there that is going to share with you what is the right way to drink tea, what is the right way to make tea, like all the things. And all of those things are really great. I have had the great honor to work with some really incredible tea masters and learn from them. And the more I was able to learn, the more I realized that it kind of slips in, like, it kind of feels like hand in glove. Like, I feel like I've done this for a long time, and it's not true either, because I didn't have my awakening or my connection with tea until 2019. And when I say a long time, I mean like hundreds of years long time. In today's world, I guess it's so easy to say, yeah, I have done that a long time. And it's like, how long have you been doing that? 5 years. So what I mean when I say I feel like I've been doing this a long time, I really literally mean like hundreds of years. Because the memory that comes back to me when I first met T was an encounter with my ancestors, my matrilineal ancestors. And from there, it was a very clear soul calling where I was asked to drop everything I know and go and serve T. And I really want to say that again, drop everything you know and go and serve T is a sentence that still continues to unravel for me, because everything that I am today really came from a willingness to step away from what I know and actually fall in love with the void, fall in love with being nobody. And from that place, I get to really create as a divine creator. So when I embarked on my tea journey as a ceremonialist, I realized that I'm actually a wisdom keeper. I had a lot of memories coming to me beyond this Earth's timeline to the times in Lemuria of my connection with T. And T was not T as we know her today. T was completely beyond the expectation of what a tree would look like. What I saw was a tree, but upside down, and it's underwater. That was one of the memories, one of many memories. Another memory I had was as a being, I had my first memory of Earth as it is today, waking up with a first drop of rain that slid down a leaf. I was lying underneath a huge tea tree. And the first taste of the rain that fell onto my lip woke me up as a being on this earth. I don't know how long ago that was, but all I could remember frequency-wise, it was like the first memory of Earth as it was, as we remember now. So maybe after Christ. So when I shared what I'm going to share, I want you to again remember that this is my truth. And when I transmit, my hope, my intention is that it stirs something up in you that is your truth. Because more than ever, if you know that you are multidimensional, your truth is needed. You are like that piece of puzzle that needs to land on that great giant picture that we're all putting together right now. If you find yourself trying to fit into some kind of box or hiding your multidimensionality, or you think that you're too cuckoo bananas and you need to be human in order to fit in, or hold things together or control what's going on in your life, like all of these things are the work that I do very intimately with clients in my mentorship spaces. So if you feel that it's time right now for me to really look at this, I'm here for you. I want you to know that you can absolutely drop me a message and we can talk about what is possible. And everything is possible. Everything is possible, but you have to know that first. Because if you are in a place where you continue to feel that you're being held down by something external, then newsflash to you, you're the creator of your life. And I say that with a lot of love. If you feel that you're being tied down, there's nothing there to tie you down. There really isn't, even if you insist. even if you defend that. So, multidimensional woman, your truth has to be so clear for you. So many of us are often saying things like, I want to be of service in this world. I want to make a difference in this world. I want to blah, 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 blah. But very few actually know so clearly what you are, who you are. If someone came up to you, and I've had this so many times in my years of being in this work, when I first started out, teachers, mentors, whatever that came across my field, because that was a lesson I needed to learn, obviously, would tell me, you need to be like that, you need to be that way or this way, otherwise people won't get you, people won't see you, people won't acknowledge you, all of those things. Including in the tea world, where I had to really be a certain way in order to fit into the community where I started to learn tea from. So no surprises, eventually, those people left my world thinking that there are people who would say, well, the way she teaches is so incorrect. There are some people who would say, like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And there are some people who even say, like, the way she learned that from that teacher is not right, so I'm not going to talk to her. You know, all these things. And if anyone has experienced it, please feel safe enough to share. Yes, I did. Me too. All of the things. Now, in my time doing this work, I've met a lot of people who would be so interested in learning how to do this, you know, tea ceremony. And I had to turn them away, many of them, because their primary intention is to make money from this work. And their primary intention is, do you certify? And I want to be very clear that there is nothing wrong with two of those things that they asked. I respect that. But my hope is that this work does not start from that kind of intention. Because we want to start to decolonize ourselves. And when we want to be sovereign, we have to start with decolonizing our minds from how the capitalistic society works. And I'm afraid that the spiritual world oftentimes is hijacked by capitalistic ideals and beliefs, including something you may be very familiar with called the law of attraction. The universe doesn't work that way. It's not capitalistic. The universe is a very, very neutral ground where all potential exists. And you are a fractal of the Creator, the One Truth. And the Divine, the Creator, gets to know herself through you. So as a soul, you may have traveled many dimensions, many lifetimes, and your soul has a record of all of that. Yeah? Just like I said to you, like I shared with you, there are several memories that came up when I was connecting with tea. One of it was that I will be a keeper of tea. And you get to decide how you want to arrange your field to resonate with the reality you want to experience. That's what it means. So everything is, the law of attraction is within every other laws, like law of giving and receiving, yeah, law of resonance. law of polarity. So, all of that being said, that is in the world of duality. How did the world of duality come to being? The one, which is nothingness, which is everything in nothing, gave birth to two. It's split into two. Why? So that it can see itself. It wants to see itself. And from two, depth was born. Three. And in this dimension, to be multidimensional, we have to understand that we are not meant to run off to another dimension. Like, oh, sayonara, 3D. No. To be multidimensional is to see the gift in being in the third dimension, because the third dimension is the only dimension where you can go to other dimensions. Only in the third dimension you can be form. Only in the third dimension you can sense, taste, smell, touch. That's how you know yourself. That's how the divine knows herself fully. And so as we walk down this dewy path, I really want you to start to shed any judgments for the 3D. Your body, the way you eat, what you eat, the way you breathe, the way you allow yourself to be cuckoo bananas, to laugh, to have joy in your life. Raise of hands. Let me know in the comments if you're on replay as well. Have you ever been one of those people who are like, if I had more fun today, I need to compensate for that, like something bad's gonna happen? We have to really notice and become aware of what we are creating in our thoughts. In this dimension, there are three things you have to take care of. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. They have to be in coherence. When they are in coherence, it will come into your reality. A lot of people tend to think one thing and they feel something else. You may think, I hate this job. But then you feel scared. And you're like, I can't quit my job. No, I cannot feel that way. No, I cannot. And then your actions is totally different. It's not coherent. And then you are wondering why you're stuck in a shitty reality. Why you can't be fully yourself. Why you can't be fully free. Here's the thing I'm going to say very clearly. I'm not saying that when you step into your sovereignty, when you connect with your divinity, when you're walking as one with your soul, quote unquote, bad things can't happen. Many things can happen. I don't know what's going to happen. What I do know is I perceive everything through my own magnetic field, through my own lens. And it's like Eve just said, I get to decide if this is for me, or I get to play the victim and say it's bad, it's taking over my life, it's wasting my time, I don't know what to do. And sometimes we get so caught up in the external things that we don't even remember that all it takes is for us to really turn the light inward in here and look at it. Look at what is causing the ruckus in us. Look at what it is that's triggering us, what is out of tune. It's like tuning a guitar. These things are happening because it's time for a tune-up. If it's constantly happening, I wonder why. Who's the common denominator here? And I say this with so much love because it's been a hell of a ride myself to look at the things that I hated to look at. Big expansion, for sure. But it didn't come before really looking at all the shit, and letting the shit out. So one of the things about the way of tea is it gave me the keys to unlock full presence in the unknown. Now, I want to remind you that basically every single person is only seeing 0.00001% of reality. You all know this. And yet we say, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm probably not going to do that. Like, I'm just going to, like, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like, what if, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to tell you, if you're in that state, you're literally using your imagination wrong. I don't say that often. I don't like to say what's right or wrong. Okay. There's really no right or wrong, but your imagination can be used in such a high level that you're not doing it when you're doing that. So when I connect with tea, I realized one thing. When I started to share, when I started to serve tea, I started to find that I was able to go into a trance state, kind of like channelers. And I am able to really connect with the person that's coming into my space, and I'm able to really see in her field what's going on with her energy and work with her from that level. So when we are in mentorship, we don't really need to go into a lot of things in detail. It's like transformation happens because you are willing to be transformed. You're willing to transform yourself. And I'm really there to guide the system, to guide the field, to guide the energy. And tea becomes an ally. Tea today, as I speak of her, is from the trees known as Camellia sinensis. I know there are lots of herbal tea lovers out there, but the tea that we work with in ceremony exclusively are living indigenous tea. The first tea tree on this earth that we speak of was in Yunnan in China. Today, we know it as China. But back in the day, it was the south of the borders where it borders Laos, Vietnam. And from there, her seeds were sold everywhere else in the world. So today you have tea from everywhere in the world. But the reason why I work with indigenous tea is because her roots go very deep. And as you know, every leaf, or maybe you are hearing it first, every leaf is an expression of the tree, and the tree is a full expression of the environment it grew up in. So when the peoples of Yunnan started to take care of these tea trees, they were treated as their ancestors. They were treated as a family ancestor that they pray to, that they celebrate with, that they use when there's a death in the family. And there is one thing that you must know, which is known as the initiatory path, where someone probably quite young leaves the family and goes out into the forest to look for something. And it's called an initiatory path because the path itself will transform the person. Because the person needs to learn how to survive in the forest. They need to learn how to listen to the plant. They need to learn how to listen to the weather, to watch the stars. And they come home wiser. They come home fuller, more anchored in their knowing. That is an initiatory path. And back in the day, before even shamans were the ones who were able to connect with the plants, who were able to connect with the bugs and bees and the weather and the liminal unseen realm, people, actually beings, all of us could do it. We could easily merge with the plant and know what the plant is for, how it's here to serve us. They are very much in tune with the minerals, with the rocks, with the river, the water. It's like a technology, a cellular technology. But as we become denser and denser, a middle person had to come in, which is the shaman, the medicine doctor, or the tea doctor back in the day, they were called. And they would start to have tea as a medicine for the heart. It wasn't medicine in the sense as we know of today. Today we think of medicine as, oh, I have a cough. Oh, I'm going to get a medicine. No, a medicine back in the day was something more preventive, was something that addressed the Great Spirit, to be in alignment with the Great Spirit, not to fix something. So the medicine of tea was very simple. It was leaves, hot water, and a bowl. And in a lot of families, they shared the bowl, one bowl. And eventually it evolved into a cauldron, where they would put some leaves into the cauldron, and then it will boil, and then it will ladle out into a bowl for each person to drink. And then the sages started to notice the great power of tea. And they loved how they got consistent downloads and inspiration as they sip on this beautiful liquid. So they started to invent a smaller vessel, like a teapot, so that one person can have the tea, not too much. A cauldron is big. Like, they don't have a family. They are mendicants, sages who lived alone. So the teapot, the boiled teapot, was invented. And they sipped from bowls. So taking a pause here, because from here, it's going to go into the realms of the Zen masters. That was where tea culture started to really blossom. It started to go into households. It started to go into tea houses for other reasons, not meditative ones, not sacred, not as a sacred medicine. And now tea is known in so many different ways right now, right, in the world. You could be having tea right now at your desk in the office. You could be having tea out of a jar or a mug or like a little bottle like this. So a tea ceremony is actually in honor of the origin of tea. A lot of times when I start in a mentorship, we really just start with the leaves in a bowl, because the connection and the transmission is still very alive in the way when we connect with the leaves, when we watch the leaves open, when we hold the bowl in our hands. And so in my mentorship, I always send out the leaves, the tea that we use, and a bowl. And also the complements, like the incense that is used during the ceremony, that doesn't impose too heavily scented on the tea. Now, why am I telling you this? Because it is a Cha Dao basic. You don't need a tea table to do this. You simply need to be there. And of course, I make it easier for you when you join a mentorship with me, where you have all these things prepared for you. But eventually, this is where it gets really interesting, that I'm going to really bring you into the multidimensionality of it. Eventually, you learn to attune to what the leaf is sharing with you about yourself. And it starts to ripple out into your life. The stillness of tea, the medicinal effect of tea will start to ripple out into your life, where you become more grounded, more anchored, but completely open to the cosmos, because tea consists of everything. It holds the frequency of the sky and the earth and the great cosmos. So I am born Chinese in Malaysia. I grew up really wanting to leave my country for a long time. I did not connect with the people that I was born, the family I was born into. I did not connect with my culture. I just really looked outward and thought I would be happier somewhere else. I wanted to look different. I wanted to look Caucasian. And when I connected with tea, I connected with my ancestors. I felt them in me. And for the first time ever in my life, after searching for so long, through relationships, through different countries that I lived in, I finally knew what it felt like to be home. And I tell you this story not because, and I want you to be very, very clear as you hear me say this, I'm not saying that tea is of one culture. I'm saying that tea loves humanity so much, she cannot resist connecting you back with your own blood, your own lineage, because it is through seeing all of these things, your ancestry, your blood, your bloodline, your history, your past, even your parents, or even further back to the Atlantean or Lemurian times, who knows? When you are able to see all of that and then let go of those knowledge and know who you are, that's when you are really free. Because then you understand, I am seeing these, I'm dealing with this, or I'm seeing these certain things through a traumatic lens. And the traumatic lens may be mine, the traumatic lens may be my parents' traumatic lens, or my grandparents' traumatic lens, but not to be attached to it, not to say I'm a victim of it, but literally knowing it and let it go, release the knowledge. That is what tea is so good at doing, because tea is consistently, all of you know this, tea is the detoxifying element. People often focus on the scientific side of tea. Oh, it detoxes, it is antioxidants, stuff like that. Great. But what I'm saying to you is these components that make up the leaf does the job. Because like I said to you, I can only hold an aspect of the great capital T truth as you do. Nobody can have the full look at the truth. Nobody. Not even your sensei or your monk sitting in the temple. But that is why we require allies. Allies who still carry the pure frequency of the divine. That is already there. That is available, that is readily there to remind us of our divinity, when we forget, when we are lost, when we are stressed, when we are too full. And there is something beautiful about tea that really brings us into a place where we release all judgment, because you have to release the judgment of good and bad in order for you to see everything from a neutral ground. And that is what our aim is. To fall in love with being nobody, to come into the void. And then from there, creation can be born. So remember last week, those who were here, I said we begin in a tea ceremony, meditation that prepares your mind. And then attunement, where your heart begins to come into coherence with your divinity. And then finally, activation, going out there from this solidity, from this deep knowing, from this nourished soul. It's very different from someone who goes out expecting to deal with everything in the world. And the most incredible thing that happens is you start to contemplate everything. You start to look at things that are brought to you, and the world may say this is the right way to do it. And then you start to think, wait a minute, really? Why? Why is that the right way to do it? Why can't I do it my way? My way is the right way for me. And you can communicate that now with compassion and love rather than resentment, because you understand that there are multiple truths that exist, because everyone is a fractal of the great truth. This is the mission of the multidimensional woman, because you have the ability to cross dimensions. Again, I said it before, I say it again. You're not meant to exit one dimension to go to another. You're meant to be dancing across all dimensions at all times, whenever you want to. To access the cosmic love, it's in another dimension. It's in the 7th dimension. But we won't see it as love if you're not back here in the 3rd dimension. So it's really powerful when you are able to have that within you, because then you know that I am always transforming. I am always continuously evolving, as the earth is. The earth has a soul, and your soul is connected with earth. Hello, beauty. So anyone else who's feeling it? Are you feeling it? Like, are you with me on the same wavelength? Like, what's going on here? Let me know in the comments. I'm seeing here a comment saying, what is the energy when I connect? Am I in the positive path? I would highly recommend that when you once this whole thing wraps up, it's great for you to just come back and watch the replay, because as I said before, we have to transcend positive and negative, acknowledging its presence, but transcending the positive and negative idea of life, because you are the filter of everything in your reality. You get to decide if it's positive or negative. All right. So BD, welcome. Yes, tea brings us home. Exactly. Meg, heck yeah, this is awesome. Oh, great. I love that. Amanda, feeling it, loving it, and my ego is not liking it. Great. I love this because every time someone in my space says that I'm feeling like this is so hard and this is like, I'm not liking it, I'm like, yes, I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job. So one more thing. If you're here, please make sure if you're loving it, please share. And if you want to join me for the next 2 weeks, we're going into different aspects of the journey together. So we're going to dive into that next week on same time and the week after. Today, it's very 3D, let's put it that way, because I really want us to see and remember that as multidimensional women, we have a position to take up in this world. And not a lot of us are doing it. Because I understand, I've been there, I still move through it today, but it's been a hell of a messy, chaotic ride, and I don't see why you need to go through all of that. And this is the reason why I'm here speaking up and sharing my story. I have been hiding my multidimensionality and trying to fit it into a box for so long. From the time when I was a child, when I was able to speak with flowers, I shut down my third eye. I shut down my crown because people were jeering at me and laughing at me when I was doing that. And I grew up diagnosed with anorexia because I thought that I needed to fit into a certain shape as a human being to be loved, to be liked, to be respected, to be seen. When I recovered from that, I started talking about my recovery, which was a self-healing recovery. And people started to say that that's wrong. And I hid myself. I shut up about it. I talked no more about it because I was so scared that it didn't fit into anyone's idea of healing, of recovery from anorexia. When I started to serve tea, I experienced all of these beautiful subliminal experiences. But I started to shut down when tea masters and even tea teachers said to me, like, this is not the right way. Like, you need to learn how to be practical about it. You need to be learning how to taste the tea. Otherwise, you don't know tea. You need to go into the fields and look at the leaves and know where they're from. Otherwise, you don't know tea. And again, they're not wrong. What felt wrong was that I hide parts of me. I rejected parts of me to be human enough to be accepted, to be loved, to be acknowledged. In 2024, I climbed up these gigantic stairs, like I don't know how many steps there were, up to this temple, completely isolated, this temple in Kyoto in Japan, where the first tea seeds from China were brought over to Japan. And I heard clearly the words that you have to tell my story from the voice of a multidimensional woman. I was terrified. I was so scared that I would be judged. But I did it anyway. I launched a mentorship space called Chadao for the multidimensional woman. And there were 2 women who joined. After the whole thing was done, I thought, the season is over. I'm going to just reserve this for my very, very special clients, one-to-one. And at that time, it felt right. And flash forward to 2026. A few weeks ago, I was in Sky, and the revelation started to really push hard on me. It's like the universe is saying, you're multidimensional. Why are you hiding? Why are you trying to be human? am I doing this right? Should I put it into this kind of caption? Should I put it like this? Should I do it this way? Should I price it this way? I had to really take a good fucking look at myself. Like, what is all of this? Who am I being? Getting into the nothingness to be nobody again so that I can be rebirthed. And here I am sitting here with you. There is nothing more incredible than coming home to the truth once again, coming home to what I've always known is true. So this is shout out for the multidimensional woman. From my truth, you don't have to take it. You can judge it. It's okay. And I really sincerely mean it. But what I know is this shout out for the multidimensional woman, which is a mentorship space that I'm going to be opening soon. So if you want to be on the wait list, let me know. It's going to be for a woman who wants to really work from the energetics of everything, because energy is the underlying theme for everything in your life. You want to sharpen your intuition. You want to know how to move as the soul that you are, with T as your ally. Animated by the soul. That's what has been the greatest gift that T has given me and continues to give me. And it is really for the woman that is not afraid to die. And what I really want to say when I say that is your ego, your egocentric ego is going to die in every ceremony. Like Amanda says, your ego is not going to like it. Doesn't mean that you will go around without an ego. I'm saying egocentric ego. The ego that is so rigid in its own way. The ego that is not from your solar plexus, like, it's not feeding from the power of the 1,000 suns, but it's feeding from past experiences. It's feeding from outdated beliefs. Somebody gave it to you. That egocentric ego I'm talking about. That's what causes you to continue to go outside of yourself, to seek to be liked, to be approved. That is the egocentric ego I'm talking about. I want to put that to rest. And again, when you come in, your ego will not like the things that I'm going to tell you. The egocentric ego. But you will be free. You will be liberated. And the final thing I'm going to say to you is there are lots of things that I'm going to pierce through. One thing I'm going to tell you is you don't need prior experiences, and you certainly don't need to be confident. I'm the least confident person in the world. I'm going to tell you that for free. And I'm so thankful that I'm not a confident person. Because I am not confident, I can tune into my spirit. I can tune into my soul and move from that certainty that I'm always guided by my soul. I don't need to be confident in a certain decision that I've made, or the way I speak, or the things that I've said. I can be so assured that my soul is guiding me on the right path. And sometimes I'm like, what the hell? But I will still follow it. And then it reveals itself. That's why I had to feel that way. That's why I had to talk to that person like that. That's why. This is not about hoping for the best. This is literally living. Not half-arsing life like most of the world is doing. I'm sorry, but truly. So, at the beginning, I said to you, What judgment are you ready to sacrifice today? If you want to take a moment right now and place it in here, you're welcome. Because the energy is going to work. It's going to reveal itself. It's going to continue to move. And I want you to know that I work with energy. I attune your energy. So if you're willing to show your head, if you're willing to show your ego and put in here the judgment you're ready to sacrifice, you can sacrifice way more than one judgment, by the way, if you want to. Put it down right now or on the replay. Because like I said to my client today in the mentorship space, we had one-to-one. I said to her, because she was telling me like, sometimes it's like coming in with the same old problems and I don't want to take up space. And I'm like, but that's how the ego holds you back. That's how the ego holds you hostage. Because it's a trigger and then it descends into another emotion and then another emotion and another emotion. And so that energy is never dealt with. Why don't we just look at it together? Shelly Leing, I am interested in your mentorship. How do we connect? Send me a DM and we can chat. There are several ways to enter. One-to-one requires an application, but there's going to be Chadao for the multidimensional woman. I'm going to be opening that up soon. There's also a solstice ceremony, a one-off solstice ceremony that I want to make available for everyone. The tickets are going to be on sale as well. So that will be where we recalibrate the frequency of the woman who talks a lot about visibility, who talks a lot about wanting to be seen, but the person who is never really seeing herself is actually herself. That is the frequency of the solstice that we are going to move into. And it's called Cosmic Stillness. We're going to host that on the 19th of June. And the mentorship for Chadao for the multidimensional woman is going to be a group space. And the group mentorship is going to go live, I believe, in July. The pages, the sign-up pages will be up soon. But please let me know if you're interested in it too, because that feels like I'm on the right path. Not that I need any validation, but I never take it for granted when I hear someone asking, like, I would love to know more about your mentorship. So thank you for asking. Eve says, I want to sacrifice the judgment that the things I want are difficult to achieve. Yes, Eve, you're so on the path. Burn it. We're going to put it into the fire right now. Amanda says, I sacrifice the belief system of lack. Yes. Sacrifice that, baby. Let's put it up on the altar. And take a deep breath after you've written that. Breathe in and empty your lungs, empty your rib cage as you do the same thing we did at the beginning. Yeah. Another Amanda. Hello. I release the judgment of what others think about me. Yeah, baby. And if I can offer you something, Amanda, there's no one else out there but you. There's no one else out there but you. There's only one of us here. I will offer you something after what you've shared here. Just contemplate this. Why it's beneficial for society to continue to feed you with the stories that what you want is going to be very difficult to achieve. And there's a lot of lack out there. More precisely, let's put it this way. I can feel it coming. More precisely, ask why. What is benefiting you for believing that things are difficult to achieve. What is benefiting you? What are your benefits when you buy into the story that the belief system, when you buy into the story that there is lack? And what is the benefit of believing that you are affected, that you are limited by what others think of you? What benefits are you reaping from it? Mm-hmm. Nothing good. And yet you're buying into that story. Until you sacrificed it, you were buying into the story. Why? It has been really terrifying for me to fully acknowledge that I am cuckoo bananas multidimensional. It was safer for me, my ego thinks it's safer, to play the roles that people want me to play. Believing that I'm not unsettling the cards, or that I am keeping the peace. That was what my ego was telling me. When you play the good girl, when you play the human girl, limited, always complaining, always saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, and people are affirming that, because they will affirm it. They will be like, oh yeah, poor thing, don't worry about it. When I play that role, I don't need to face the version of me that has to be multidimensional. And to be multidimensional means that I'll be saying some real big truths. Some things that people will not, they'll be like, what the hell is she saying? And I've had experiences where it wasn't taken well, right? So it was safer for me to buy into the stories of my judgment. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda, maybe my body is remaining safe as it is used to, yes. You know that. We are all intelligent women here. And the more intelligent you are, the more intelligent your ego is. Have you heard of that? So that's why, coming back to the Dewy path, we must understand one thing. Nothing is static. Everything is constantly in flux. When we are talking about vibration, there are low and high vibration, and everyone wants to be on a high vibration. Everyone wants to be on a high vibration. Oh, raise your vibration. But there will be moments when there will be low vibration. Why? Why do we hate that? Why do we judge that as so bad or wrong? That's something that's really confounding. Because the lower the vibration, the more we are actually here to anchor in the high vibration. Take a deep breath. It's not about everything identical. Imagine that, a world where everyone has the same views, the same opinions, like that's like a Like a Stepford wife, I pretend that I have the same opinion as you. I would try to make myself look like you. Can you imagine? But we are here to be in harmony. Harmony, as I'm sure someone like Eve, you would know, to harmonize doesn't mean that you have to sound the same. To harmonize, you have to be in different notes. Yes? So, let's reframe low vibration. The lower the vibration, you will notice that it actually corresponds to the earth resonance. Earth resonance is very low. Yeah, it's like a baritone. Yeah? Gravity. Yes? Are you all with me there? High vibration is high pitch, so high pitch sometimes you can't even hear it. You can't even see it. Yes? If you can understand this, you can really put to rest the idea of good and bad, because you will realize that there is nothing as such in the universal scale. You get to decide what's good and bad, for sure. You can decide in the infinite field of potential, you can decide that this is good for me, this is good for me, this is good for me. And in the idealistic world, I would tell you the field will literally be like, when you say this is good for me, and you feel that it's good for you, your actions will correspond vibrationally with that thing you saw in the field. And it will materialize in your reality. Simple. The problem with most of the world is that you see in the field and you're saying, that's good for me. And then all our trauma responses, all our trauma filters start to come up. Maybe your father told you, like, you shouldn't be a creative person. Creative people don't have money. Maybe something else, like your teacher said, you're bad at art. You can't draw for fuck's sake. And you want to be an artist? Thought and feeling. And then your actions is like, oh, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm lost. And then you sit on your ass for months and years, and you just become that belief. You forgot that you are the creator of your reality. And most of the world lives like this. And I think it's so important right now for a multidimensional woman who can tap into different dimensions, who can tap into her field, who can sense her soul, who can hear her higher self, to say no. To start to create from a place that is clean of trauma. To be clean, meaning not to be like, Stepford wifey, kind of like, there's nothing wrong with me. What I mean is create from a very true place, made with love, not from hurt, not from I want to prove you wrong, not from I told you so, I can do it, but from this place of like, I truly love what I'm creating. I truly love it, and I don't need anyone's validation for it to be good, for it to be birthed into the world. And I want to compare, I just want to bring this idea of how it feels like when you are trying to constantly fix it when it's in that energetic creation. You know, like how someone is like, you know, I want to create a baby, but then the baby needs to have all these things before it can be birthed. Like it needs to have, you know, it needs to be good at English, it needs to be good at German, it needs to be good at mathematics, and before it can be birthed. That's what you're doing with your dreams. That's what you're doing with your creations. You're trying to fix it even before it came. And the fixing comes from all the trauma responses. So we need to have a space. Jennifer is saying, I so need to hear and remember this. I just want to love it. Yes. I genuinely feel that very few people in this world can really say, I wholeheartedly love what I created or what I'm creating. Everyone is looking outside of themselves. It's like, I want to get your feedback on this. I wonder who would like this. Like, hey, I'm guilty too. But the greatest creation, I always turn back inwards. Like, okay, I got all the feedback. I got all the things from other people who suggested me to do this and do that. What do I want? And most of the time I hear myself saying, not the things they said I should do. Because, why? Because we as multidimensional women, we're tapped into something completely new. And we are all moving to a new era where we are meant to be really sovereign. So it's going to feel a bit awkward. We're in the awkward stage of like, moving from one to another. But this is the time. This is really the time. I know it's hard. Trust me. I still see people who are out there doing, looking successful when they're not in alignment. But I don't need to be that. I give them my compassion. I give them my love. But I don't need to be that. I don't need to buy into the story that I have to be out of alignment with my soul in order to make things work. And sometimes things have to not work. And that is the moment when you get to say, I don't see that as a bad thing. And then the release of that illusion is so gratifying. This is the work that we do together in mentorship. You're going to attune really fast. And you have to be ready for it. And that attunement is really transcendence, because you're going to come into a frequency and embody it. And you realize that when something leaves you or when something releases from you, it's perfect. And when something comes to you, you get to receive it wholeheartedly. You get to say thank you. Not push it away, not say that I need to make it difficult for me to receive it. I need to work really hard. Oh, they gave it to me. I need to work harder. No, none of that. Those are all trauma responses. All of it. Deep wound, like deep feminine cuts. Thank you. Thank you. All right, my loves. I know we've gone on, but I felt like it needed to be said. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you next week here. But if anyone wishes to explore mentorship, you're welcome to drop me a DM. We're still in the stages of putting it all together. How's everyone feeling before I complete? Just a few words quickly. I know, it's such an exhale of like release. Eve, this was so helpful. Thank you. Thank you, my love, for always being here to receive. Meg, incredibly excited. Yes. Jennifer says, you're building an internal relationship where you don't only value yourself when you're elevated, productive, or expanded. That means the shadow moments are no longer exile states. Exactly. They're just part of the cycle you stay in relationship with. Yes. And I will add that eventually you will vibrationally arrive at a place where even the cycle is an illusion. That's when the fun begins. Even the nothingness stops to exist. Yes. And you can still operate in the world. You can still function in the world. And this is something I'm going to dive into next week. Elizabeth, I just joined, and like the part I heard, how do you say your name? Oh, I love that question. I never mentioned it, did I? Liing. My name is Liing. Eve is popping off now. All right. Great. Jennifer, cool. Yes. Thank you, my loves, for being here. I will see you next week. My name is Liing. I should really say that at the beginning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will see you when I see you. Bye.